Boxed in. The truth gets loud with no device. You're boxed in with Bryce.
I think it was like Minnesota hockey camp I went to one year, and they were just, they gave me had to be like almost a pound in my lip of just like, it was the whole case. And I took the whole thing, straight to the face of just a random long cut.
I hope you didn't, you probably swallowed a little bit.
I swallowed a little. That's the worst part, is swallowing.
God,
you just get sick. So I was, it was rough. I couldn't, I was definitely out for like a day. Like I just felt so, they gave me like the worst of it, because I was just like some fucking kid from California, and they've already done it.
Yeah.
It hurts. It's rough. I know now you work with like sports. What sport did you play growing up?
I had baseball.
Okay.
So we would do that too, but I even to this day, and I don't do it very often anymore, but even to this day, I still think about it. It's like it's so addictive. Like I think about it. Like I don't, I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have a dip or Zen. It's like crazy how addictive it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's even when I have periods of like being off of it, you still I mean, I haven't had crazy long periods, but definitely like a couple months, and it's hard. It's definitely it's weird though, because it does like the calm down and also like kind of amps you up. It's a really weird, and especially this new nicotine stuff, it's all synthetic. So it's all not, the fields are gone, they're pulling the chemical and they're probably making the shit with it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's probably way worse than, honestly, it seems cleaner, but I think that like for your brain it's probably worse because it's so potent.
Yeah.
Compared to the lower dust stuff. Yeah. That was long cut Johns or whatever.
Jack up your. I remember it would jack up. It would jack up your lip right here. And what made me stop was the vanity of it. It wasn't like the cancer or anything like that. It was like I was looking at pictures with people having their jaw removed because of the cancer. I'm like, I don't want to look like that.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want a hole in my mouth, not being able to talk anymore. Yeah, it's definitely. It's even like smoking cigarettes now. Like you don't see anybody doing it here. Like it's all.
Well, it's vape. I mean, they're still doing
vapes is definitely a big thing, but they're like hiding it in like the restaurant now compared to having an ashtray out. But it's a whole different game.
But to your point, I feel like having well, maybe not now, but back in the day, in the 80s and 70s, whatever, a cigarette was probably better for you than the vape you're taking.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, I've done both, and I mean, it's a lot. You have to like, you automatically are doing it less, maybe for convenience, maybe because, I mean, I didn't grow up in the 90s. I don't know what it was. I know I've seen videos and movies and talked to my parents that, you could do it anywhere, but it even still seemed like people, even if they were chain smoking, it was less. When you're hitting the vape, you're constantly trying to chase that high, and it's insane. And it's getting to the young kids, and it's sad.
Well, any type of drug, you're chasing it, right? The first time you hit it, you're chasing that feeling every time until that point.
Yeah. It's crazy to say that you haven't had it in that long, and you're like, I still, you get the itch a little bit.
I get, I was looking at that now going, man, I want one, but I'm like, no.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Did you ever get into any other type of drugs, or was it mostly just?
I've done weed. I never liked the feeling of weed, just because I don't like to feel. I don't know. I don't like. I'm more of an up guy.
Yeah.
So the weed would put me to. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah. No, it definitely doesn't. I wouldn't say it's not like a downer, but it kind of can be. It's like one of those mixed drugs where you can feel up, but also feel very down.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things too, where like you got it. Because I've smoked weed as well a bunch of times. I feel like the only way to do it is really, really low doses to start. If not, you're just like frying your brain, and you just get so overwhelmed that you're like out for like a day or so. Yeah. Definitely. A lot of people that smoke weed, I haven't smoked in forever, but Yeah, I definitely like. I get the uppers part. Yeah, I don't know though. I feel like I am a downers guy. Like I used to like in high school and stuff. I would chase like pills were really popping when I was in high school.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing. Right before like the Xandemic came up, it was everybody was doing that stuff, and I don't know, it leaned that way. But now you see it a lot more of people wanting like uppers again. Like the cycle has now, the circle has reached full. People are wanting like uppers more. I think it just shifts back and forth.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy. It's like we have a hard time dealing with our own insides, and as a result, drugs helps us cope. And sometimes it's hard, but sometimes just sitting with that feeling of pain inside of you, that emotional pain is better than chasing the drug, because the drug just masks it, and once you're off the drug, then you feel worse than you did before you did. Like alcohol for me now, as I've gotten older, I have so much anxiety the next day. I don't even drink that much, but even that, just a little bit, the next day I have so much anxiety. I didn't have that. You're much younger than, how old are you?
I'm about to be 26.
Yeah. See, so at your age, I didn't have that problem, but as I've gotten older, more than the hangover, it's the anxiety that I get from drinking now.
Yeah, and I think as we get older, we kind of understand our bodies more, and I think it's every day is like a little point, on this system that we take of data.
Yeah,
and as you drink, even I see myself just a little more off of, even if not hungover, not feeling 100%. Because now, I'm trying to tune my body and more. I don't eat the best all the time, but you can feel when you're eating good, taking vitamins, working out, and then you drink or whatever. If you do a little too much, you can feel it. Kind of dial it back, it's all changing these dials, and I definitely do. I can feel it more as I get older. Before it was like you don't even have to think about it, and now it's just that dial is just shifting ever so slightly.
Yeah.
The one thing I like a lot of the things that you talk about is from your content is mindset. I mean, just kind of boiling down to taking out of the mindset, and what we were just talking about before is people numb themselves and then have to feel it later. Do you think, because you see people have so much anxiety nowadays, right? And all this stuff. Do you think it's people's nervous system is just so quick and fast that to then settle back down into reality, into back feeling those emotions and doing that, like what part do you think that has with it? That everyone's at such, right? You're stimulating yourself constantly with media or drugs or sex or whatever vice the next person has, shopping even. Do you think it has something to do with people at being such a heightened state?
Well, I think the biggest thing is patience. The generation now, because we get everything so instantly, and when we have a feeling, we want that feeling to go away as fast as possible, because everything else we can get rid of it. And I think that we don't sit with it, and I think that that's one of the biggest problems with it, is like, immediately we have a bad feeling, get rid of it. Rather than, let's just take a chill pill a second. Let's why am I feeling that way? Be curious with the feeling. I think that would help society more, is just sitting with the feeling a little bit longer and realizing most of the time it's not as bad as what we feel initially. If we just sit with it just for a moment, staying away from that phone for a little bit, and I think it's very hard. And for me too, is having silence, having nothing, just being. For me now, I do a lot of meditations, and that changes my life. And I think that if we adopted that more in a Western society, I think would help a lot of that drug use, just because you're able to sit with that feeling and realize, what, that feeling's not that bad, as opposed to, I have this feeling coming on. Let me hit that drug. Let me do this. Let me have that drink. Let me slow that feeling down. And I think that would be a lot of help.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, someone that's meditated myself too, and feeling centered, it does feel that you're so off-centered sometimes. I feel myself get into the state of emotional, distress, or thinking about life too hard, or and when you sit with it, and you kind of let that boil simmer. It does something that helps you. I mean, even I remember I used to go camping as a kid here and there, and then I kind of took just a trip with one of my friends probably a couple of years ago. And I haven't been in forever, and I remember just kind of like nothing, nature, living in the city, living in, constant kind of moving, and still finding time to meditate, but being in nature even and like connecting on that way does something different of us just constantly kind of going and taking a second, slowing down, really, really key. But I think another problem is, I wonder what you think, is people, to even take that second, people are stopped with getting stimuli so much when they're in those times to think that most of the time they don't even know how. Like, respectfully, I feel like when I hear people talk, hey, how are you feeling? Hey, what's going on physically? I remember my friend, he hurt himself the other day. I play hockey, and he's so out of tune that I'm like, hey, where did you hurt yourself? He's like, I don't really, it's like my shoulder kind of like, for me, I feel so in tune. Like if something hurts, if I go down in hockey, I'm needle pointing it. I'm like, hey, this is a sharp pain, probably like under my shoulder blade. Like, I don't think it's like a bruise over the bone, but I think people are so gone that it's that to say, hey, slow down and think about it. But I think the thinking is like, it's like, we're cutting out so many things that then the thing that you should do is kind of going away because you're stimming so hard somewhere else with, whatever, that it's crazy to think that even from somebody from their body can't even know a point of hurt, it's sad. It's getting really, really scary.
Yeah, I think that also it's a badge of honor, and that's not just this generation. That's just always that generation that where it's better to say, are you doing okay? Oh, I've been better. It's just our society in the United States is always wanting to put on the negative. That's always been the way, and I think that's another thing that we, if somebody were to say, how are you doing? And they go, I'm fantastic. This is the greatest day. They're like, something's wrong with that guy, right? As opposed to saying, oh, that's cool that he's feeling fantastic or she's feeling fantastic. We're like, no, we would rather hear somebody say, oh, I have shoulder pain or I have this or I have that. But back to your point about sitting in silence, about thinking. When we sit in silence, unfortunately, our brains, because it's a survival tactic, we go negative. So it's very hard to sit in silence if you've never done it before, because your thoughts are going to be about, oh man, I really messed up in high school. I really did this. I really did that. And it takes time to realize that they're just thoughts in your head and they don't have to be your reality. And the key on that is awareness, like being aware. Oh, I'm having a negative thought, and that's okay. Let me shift. And the easiest way to do that is by, what is going well, gratitude.
I like that. Yeah, taking it to just kind of a different point and letting yourself sit with it. Do you think that? Do you think that when you go through those thoughts, right? When you're going through those negative thoughts, besides meditation, is it like would you tell people, hey, just kind of go through them? Like, kind of what's the process through your head, right? Like when you're in those thoughts, you're thinking negative. Because to me, it almost feels like sometimes, you're kind of going on this trail and there's a wall, you jump over it, you figure it out. Do you kind of feel the same way there? It's just kind of figuring out, even, our bodies want to, be negative and think bad things, and you can't, right? Because it's easier, right? Our brains are trying to make the Disneyland path of, instead of walking around the fountain, you see the one that's barely caved out of the dirt, but everyone uses it, right? Because it's what our brains want to do. It's a weird thing that we do, and I've seen myself, going through the negative and finding positive, and trying not to. Another thing you say is mindset about, viewing, if you talk about sports or viewing things that are hard really aren't that hard. Like we're building those monsters in our head. So yeah, my question is how do you help yourself not build those monsters, break down those walls?
Well, one of the hardest things I've ever done is I took a vow of silence for a weekend in Joshua Tree. And I thought I was going crazy because like I thought I was an imposter. You just go through these weird thoughts in your head. Like, are you really Paul? You're going nuts because you're not talking. And what I really learned about that experience is I started to feel in my stomach or in my body when I was having an emotion, whether it would be sad, happy, or whatever. And so like when I got out of that, I would start feeling that in real life, like, oh man, I'm starting to get angry because I feel it, and my anger I feel a lot in my head. When I have anxiety, I feel it in my stomach. So I started to have checklists of where I'm starting to feel the feelings, and then I'm feeling in my head. I'm angry. Should I be angry right now? I don't know. So.
Sorry.
Oh,
I apologize. Yeah, so feeling those emotions, going through those emotions, dying those in. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so I think I missed your question there. So you were asking how should somebody sit through it, or was
it was more of just, when we create boundaries in our head, when we create monsters and walls and different things.
One of the biggest things is not to judge the monsters, not to judge it. I when I work with athletes, especially I'm working with younger athletes, high school athletes, they start to snowball. I'm having this thought, and now I'm having this thought. I shouldn't have this thought. I'm having this thought, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse. Rather than just allowing the thought to go, like, yes, I'm having a negative thought. Oh well, big deal.
The world's not ending.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
but you start to compound it.
Yeah.
It gets worse and worse in your head. And realize that we're human beings and we're always going to have negative thoughts. It's just the way we are as human beings. So if that's the case, then let's not judge ourselves for having that feeling. Let's, maybe decide if we want to have that feeling anymore. And that goes back to that gratitude piece.
Yeah, of course. I liked one of the posts you made was after you lose a game, right? To take it in. It was a loss, but to let it go. From somebody, I played a little bit of baseball growing up, not t-ball, and a little bit after that. But then I got into hockey, and I remember, especially after playing travel and stuff, I mean, it kills people. I mean, you try to go to lunch with the guys after, and even just a regular game, a lot of people are upset. People are invested so much money into this, so much time, so much energy.
But how long are they upset?
I mean, I see them for only a couple hours, right? I mean, I see most of the guys, hour after the game, we get lunch, maybe that. Sometimes you'd see it at the next practice if it was a big game, right? The coach felt upset at least till right? I mean, we were skating, we were making the legs work all practice, doing ladders till at least 2 practices after for some of those rougher games. But I think it's so key to kind of I say it, you got to kind of be fluid with things. Sometimes you got to be ready to move, shift, because a lot of people will be stuck on one thing and put kind of what you were saying about towards the negative, but they also put it to the negative towards losing, but again it compounds to like, my life's over, we just lost a travel hockey game, and now it goes on and on. So yeah, it's very close into it, but I loved the post that you were saying about, because I feel like that's so key in so many sports of people losing, and they get so upset, and instead of using it as maybe fuel, they use it as just weights to just hold them down.
Well, I think that sports is a great life teacher, right? Because you in life, you're not going to win all the time. A lot of people lose more than they win, and in sports, the same thing. Champions, lose more than they win. I mean, you talk about Michael Jordan. He's missed way more shots than he's made, on and on and on. And that's what makes sports awesome, because when you do have that great moment, you think about all those failures that you had, all that time, and it all came down to this, and I did it, and I won. How boring would life be if you won every single time?
Yeah, of course not. You would want the hard paths to go through. So what made you kind of get into being like a coach in this? I mean, this kind of field of work. What was it? Did it go from you playing sports and seeing people doing this, or where did it kind of all begin?
So for me, it began at birth, in a way. I know everything starts at birth, but for me, I was born with cerebral palsy, and I was told I'd never be able to walk. And my mom, the doctors told my mom I would never be able to walk, and she didn't take no for an answer. Thank goodness I have a great mom. But early in my life, I was bullied and teased quite a bit in school. I had to switch schools when my parents got divorced, and I didn't have any friends. I was in a situation where I was by myself, tackled, spit on, you name it, they did it to me. And I come from a period of time where you don't tattle, you don't squeal, you hold it internally. I just remember times crying myself to sleep nights, going, why can't I have a friend? Why can't I just fit in? And I don't know what came over me, because I'm more of a positive and a glass half full kind of guy. But I was in a world where all I saw was sadness and anger, and I didn't want to feel that way anymore. And I thought, how can I do that? And at the time, I love baseball. So I said, what if I was in middle school at the time, and I said, what if I made a goal to make my varsity baseball team in high school? And so I started playing ball all year round. And I remember having coaches. I was raised by a single mom, so my mom couldn't pick me up on time. So I'd have this coach I would never forget. He's like, Paul, we're not going to sit here and wait for your mom. I'm going to hit you ground balls. You're going to throw bullpen sessions. We're going to make this time productive. And as a result of my mom being late to pick me up, it was an advantage because I was getting extra time. And I was playing baseball with the same kids over and over again. So they started accepting me for who I was. And some of those kids actually went to high school with me. So I gained friendships I didn't have before. And that was the win. But the cherry on top was I was able to make my team as a junior and a senior. And it was physical, but I would say the majority of it was mental. It was never giving up. There was times where I wanted to give up. I was like, why am I doing this? I'm not one of the better players on the team. I'm not gonna make it. But I was able to find a way to make the team by pitching, and then I was able to hit a little bit my senior year. But it was the mental game that did it. And so I have this empathy for these high school kids, and I feel you're younger than me and you play hockey, so I feel like now the pressure's even higher because I played all year round, but I didn't play travel ball. I didn't do all that, and I'm seeing these kids with the travel ball and the parents and the coaches and having this thing all about the roller coaster of winning and losing, and less about the passion of the sport that you're playing. I think that I'm actually going to do a video about this. I think that should be the focal point of why you're playing the sport, is the love of it. If you want to take it to the next level, it shouldn't be about the wins and losses. It should be like, man, I love talking about it. I love it. It's my life. And that should thrive you more than the wins and losses. I mean, if you're going to go off the wins and losses, that's going to be emotional life. Yeah, of course. But if you go with like, man, I love getting on the ice, I love doing this, then you're going to get way more out of it than oh man, I lost this game, or oh, I won this game. Because when you look back, when I played high school ball, I really can't remember the wins and losses of the game, but I can tell you about the travel. I can tell you about the fun times, the pranks we played on each other on the buses there and in the locker room and all that. I can tell you all that, but I can't tell you what my record was sophomore or junior year. I don't care.
Yeah. yeah, I think that's a baseline, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a great baseline of just loving the fucking game and just
Yeah.
not thinking about, what it is. But yeah, I feel like we're going into that in just life itself.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing that thing of, right, who, money
Mm-hmm.
or looks or, especially I think a big thing too is in the city, everyone is so individualized.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to, I've been to smaller towns. I've lived in smaller towns. I grew up in SoCal, but I went to a couple other states. I lived in Colorado for a little bit, in Utah, and you can feel this community aspect that I think also pushes that kind of, hey, this is a high school, football game here. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're all gonna meet at the local diner after, and here it's people are driving 45 minutes to a game in a whole other county,
Mm-hmm.
that they can't go make friends.
No.
And they can't, and it's this weird thing that we like, and now we're kind of all on our own path, and especially when you start playing travel and high school as well, depending on it, like people are worried about college, right? Or, for me, one of my friends, their family got a apartment near the rink because they lived in another city and it was an hour and a half drive every day. I think they lived closer to, I think it was Temecula or something. They were playing there, they were playing hockey near LAX, at the rink over there. And yeah, we have to figure out how to have baselines of something that you love, because even with relationships, right? You see a lot of people go down with worrying about all this little stuff, but at the end, right, if you sit down, you take 5 minutes, and I've seen this a lot in my relationships, like you take 5 minutes, you slow down, you're like, we love each other. Same thing with sports. It's like you boil it down, which I think people need to do more and just really slow down, because it's affecting a lot. It's affecting memory, it's affecting so many different aspects of it. But that's really, so what was it for baseball? Was it just hey, you saw someone playing varsity, you want to do it? Did you grow up watching baseball?
Yeah, so I want to answer that. I'll answer that question, but I want to go back to what we were talking about our society. I think that we have this universal thing about success, and I think that needs to change,
especially in the U.S.
Yes,
we got it down our backs a little bit.
I think that success should be defined by the human being. If somebody wants to make a lot of money and that thrives them, more power to them. Do it. Go out and do it. If that lights you up in your belly, do it. But if that's not who you are, that that you want to make a lot of money, you just want to be in a situation where you want to pay your bills and you want to do what you want. You don't want to worry about a 9-to-5 job and whatever. That's your definition of success, right? But we shouldn't put down that person just because they make less money. Big deal. They're living the life they want to. There's a lot of people out there that make a lot of money that probably wouldn't want to do that. Probably want to do what that other person's doing that's making less money. But we see this universal thing of success, and I think it needs to be defined by the person. And I think that would help a lot. I get it. We're in Southern California, and unfortunately, cost of living is a little bit more than some of the other places in the state. So obviously, money is an issue. But after a certain amount of money that you make, it's not going to make you happier. Obviously, baseline, you want to be in a situation where you don't have to think about money. If you don't have to think about money, then, that's going to really help your stress level. But after, you make your millions and millions of dollars, that's not going to make you happier. Maybe some people might, but most people not. So I think it's defining your own success is the key.
Do you think that, because you were saying money, right, has, if that's what that person is, but to chase just money, it's kind of similar of chasing that win and loss, no?
Correct.
Because I don't think that can be a baseline. I hear you're like, hey, if that's somebody's thing, but it's like, again, now now somebody's thing is on such a teeter scale of, I'm not saying, you love to sit in front of a computer and watch a candle move up and down, right?
Yeah.
But at the end, to hold it just on that, you got to have something else there. Because I've seen myself, I have my own company, and I do mobile service. I'm a locksmith. You get locked out of your place and whatever it is, and I catch myself even in the beginning of starting my business of this customer went really well, and I'm up and I'm happy, and I made $100 whatever. This customer, I drove there and I realized that it's a rat race between me and the next guy, right? Another company. I don't know, to just relate it on money is hard for me to swallow because it seems like such a baseline that's pretty much non-existent.
Well, the only thing I could say to that is I come from a world of sales, and it's kind of like sport.
Yeah,
and that's their sport. It is like I did mortgage sales, so there's people that just love doing the mortgage sales and selling.
Sales you can love. I think sales is something you can love.
Yeah,
but money is hard.
Yeah, but I mean, money. I hear what you're saying. Money alone, it might not be enough. But I got to tell you, there's people that I know that are in sales that work 16 hours a day and they love it. They love it. They love it. And I'm like, who are me to tell them that they're living life wrong? They love doing that. Of course, keep doing it.
No, of course, yeah. I'm just thinking of just to be able to stabilize, right? To be, I've caught myself in life to, I think my generation, a lot of it is, if we're a car, right, we go 100, we go 10 or 15 miles, and then we stop in the middle of the highway, slam on the brakes, and we're going 0, right? And you scroll on Instagram or do whatever. You're home, you're drained, and then I see this cycle a lot of just 100, 0, 100, 0. Even my friends emotionally, right? They're really, really happy, then they're down. They're really happy and they're down. And yeah, I think that not cruising life, still wanting to go faster, still wanting have purpose and have the speed to keep going and going over those bumps and not just going really hard, going really fast and then stopping, going hard. I've seen that cycle in life, and then your nervous system does that, and now your brain's going a million miles, but yeah, I've had a sales background too, and I completely agree. People they love sales, they love, my first sales job was, I was knocking doors, in Texas, getting people on dish service. The only person without a car, and, I fell in love. Fell in love talking to people, fell in love connecting. I definitely loved the sweet tea too, in Texas, but, it's something about selling. I can see why people, I'm the same way. I feel like after that, I worked a couple different kind of call center jobs and different weird sales jobs. So you were doing mortgages, or you were doing?
I did mortgage sales. I did mortgage sales for most of my adult career, but I've always wanted to do this type of work. And I remember this was, I guess it was 2018, 2017, something like that. I was kind of losing the luster of the mortgage industry. I was at a company that I really didn't like. I love my manager, and I love that, and I love my coworkers, but the overall culture was not great. But they brought this motivational speaker in to talk to us, and the guy blew me away, and I had to talk to him after, and he told me he started as a kind of a life coach. I'm like, what the heck is that? He explained that to me, and I'm like, I want to get into that. And so when I started doing that, the bank I was with at the time monitor all my social media, so they're like, what is this coaching thing that you're doing? And I was transparent. I told them exactly what I was doing, and they're saying that this could be a conflict of interest, and we'll get back to you. And they came back with this report of what I couldn't say.
Wow.
And if I follow this to the T, I would never get a coaching client or a speaking gig. So for a year, I just did mortgage, and then a year later, I quit. I made President's Club. I did all the things, and I quit. And people are looking at me like I'm crazy. And that's when I started my journey, and I work with a lot of. At first, I work with a lot of people in sales on helping them make money, and I had a friend of mine, still a high school friend, and his kid was playing golf, and he's like, "I love the stuff you're posting on social media. Have you ever worked with athletes or kids? And I'm like, no. And she's like, would you be willing to? And I said, yeah, let's do it. So I developed a curriculum for it, and I really started to dig it. And I started building from there, and I started doing more of the athletic coaching than the actual sales coaching. And one of the things that I think that we as a society, we always, the younger generation, always an idiot, always. That's nothing new. That's always been the case.
Of course.
And stuff. And I think that's the case with this now. I mean, I don't know what it is now. Is it Gen Z? Whatever. I think the Gen Zs are in high school now. And I work with a lot of them, and there's a lot of positives to this new generation. One of the biggest positives about this generation is extremely kind. They're extremely kind people. I mean, I conducted a camp for kids that wanted to get into business and entrepreneurship, and I would just kind of observe them and listen to them talk. And some of the stuff they were saying, like if I said that at their age, I'd be stuffed in a locker. And these kids are like giving each other hugs, like, oh man, that's cool that you said that, this and that. They were being vulnerable with each other. And if I were to be vulnerable in high school, like, what's wrong with this kid?
Same here. Me growing up, it was the same exact.
Are you Gen Z or are you millennial? Are you the end of the millennial?
I think I'm right at I'm at Gen Z.
Okay.
I haven't really looked, to be honest. It's
Yeah.
2000, so I think that's right when it.
Yeah, I think it's probably
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So as far as your curriculum goes with it, kind of walk me through, right? I'm a new client.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it kind of therapist based, like everybody's on their own thing? Do you start somewhere with it? Do you do one-on-one? Is it more, are you in there in a group setting, or what does it look like?
So let me say this. I'll give that to you, but let me say this. What I learned early on this coaching in general, but especially for these athletes. I remember having early on in my career and doing this. I had this athlete that would like to talk before an event. I think it was golf. I think he played golf. Pretty sure it was golf. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He would want to kind of go over his game plan with me before his event. So, like, let's say he played Saturday, he'd want to talk to me Friday. And I remember this particular day, he was going over his strategy, and I for some reason, I decided to kind of do it differently, and I just let the kid go, like just go, right? And I probably said 3 words the whole time he was talking. And before he hung up, they call me coach. And he's like, hey, coach, this is our best call yet. And I'm like, what? I go, I said 3 words to you. And he goes, this is our best call yet. And then it just clicked in my brain. It's like, dude, they don't want your advice, Paul. They don't. They want you to listen to them. They want you to give them a voice. So that is the main thing that I do for these athletes. I mean, these kids have a lot of pressure. Maybe their coaches in their ear. Maybe their parents are in their ear if they play a team sport. Maybe their teammates are in their ear, and their voice might be lost. And I want to allow a space where I'm not judging them, where they can say, oh, practice sucked, coach, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not judging them for it. Giving them that space where they can share. They're not being judged. So that is kind of on the forefront of my curriculum. So to answer your question, and I'll go into specifics with you in a second, but yes, I kind of go by what the athlete needs more than anything else. But I have my non-negotiables. I have first off, when I meet with a client, I have a meeting with the parents and I have a meeting with the athlete. And I let the athlete know, because I don't go younger than high school. So they're somewhat older. And I let them know that you are the captain, boy or girl, you are the captain of this ship. I am an advisor, just like your other coach is an advisor, and you as the athlete have to take the information in and go, yes, I'm going to use it. No, I'm not going to use it. But you got to take ownership of your athletic journey. It's your life now. You are getting to the point in your life where you're the one that has to have the say. So I want to set up a team aspect where I'm with the parents. The parents and I are on the same page with the athlete. And I find that when we're all pulling from the same rope, good things happen. Now, if the parent and the kid are at odds, and I've dealt with that a lot of times, it's a little bit bumpier. I don't coach the parents, but I definitely do throw in some messaging to them, like working with some of these athletes. Now, all the parents that I've worked with, I feel like they want the best for their kids and they have the best intentions. And sometimes I think that they're unintentionally putting a little bit extra pressure on the kid when they don't really need to. Like I was working with one kid. And he's like, well, yeah, with the dad, but the dad's saying, yeah, but he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And I stopped the dad and I said, it's pretty cool that your kid gets up at 5 a.m. and does a workout before school. I work with a lot of athletes, and you're he's the only one that's doing that. Everybody else is not doing that. He's doing that. So isn't that cool? Going back to that kind of that gratitude piece.
Of course.
And that kind of snapped the dad back and go, oh yeah, you know what?
Looking at the glass half full.
Exactly. So as far as my curriculum's concerned, it's when I work with somebody new, I do a 3-month period. And the reason why I pick 3 months is generally that's kind of the cycle of a season. It's 3 months. So I have the athlete write out their short-term goals in the sport, their long-term goals in the sport, their academic goals, and their goals outside the sport. And together we come up with an action plan to accomplish every single one of those goals. And as I tell them, there's not a goal too big or a goal too small. If it lights you up, that's your goal. So I don't want people to think like if a goal for a kid is I want to make somebody smile, I don't want them to think, oh, that's too small, I shouldn't put that on there. No, if that's something that means something to you, then yes, put that on there and we're going to figure out a way how to make people smile, right? Or sometimes the kids get embarrassed and, because again, the odds, of these kids making professional are very, 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 very slim, but some want to go for it. And sometimes they're a little embarrassed to put that. I go, no, don't put it. Put it on there. Who cares? Because it's less about the result of it. It's more of a compass, giving you direction, giving you that purpose. And then when you go through that goal, you could go, oh, you know what? This is not really what I want to do. I actually want to do this. But you wouldn't have not known that if you didn't go for the goal in the first place.
Of course.
And so that's more about what the goal for me is. It's just giving them some direction on where to go. I think it's important that if you want you should know, if you want something, you should know what you want, right? Or at least try it out to see if it's something you want. And, I'm working with these kids. I also tell them, like, you know what? Don't judge yourself for it. Maybe put a couple things down there that you're like, I don't know. Put it on there. Who cares? Let's give it a try. If it's something you want to do, it's something you do it. If not, then we do something else. But I think it's important to have those goals. And then 2 times a month, we get on a call, a Zoom call, and we go over the goals. Do we need to move? Do we need to shift? And that's where I allow that space where the athlete can share, what's going on. And it's up to me to ask the right questions. Not only not to give advice, but ask the probing questions, because when it comes from the athlete, it means more. If I'm just giving them advice, I'm just some other adult just in their ear going blah, 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 blah.
A really good point. A couple great points that you made, but one that has always I've always thought about was that, it's almost, I would say that a couple generations ago, right, it was, you as a person and then adults. Mm-hmm. And as culture has shifted, as you're saying, people are caring more, people are more vulnerable. We're kind of making that, people might have even done something back in the day, if it's cancel culture or whatever. And really what the culture shift that's happening, at least from what I'm seeing, is everybody is kind of going, everybody's a human, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody bleeds the same. And I want to know what you think about this with parents is yeah, being that person that's you're there with them, right? Because as a kid, I mean, I remember playing sports. I mean, there was a couple people that I felt that were like on my same level. If it's, hey, we even enjoyed the same thing, or, you know, I loved right, like shoes growing up, like, you know, Jordans and stuff. And if I met someone that was older and they liked it, right, they're coming in on the same scale. But a lot of the times as a kid, you know, you're kind of looking up to your parents or a coach, or, you know, you're seeing this sometimes power struggle, right? So for them to help you with goals, it's so hard because, you know, you're trying to make them proud, but also they're sometimes in that power state of it. Is that something you ever kind of talk to, like with the parents, of kind of going in as being that kind of, or is that more your side of the job with it? Because I mean, remember seeing parents, I mean, they didn't have a whip, but it felt like emotionally they did, you know, of some of these kids playing hockey. It was, you know, especially in California, you know, in every other place, hockey's so big because it's free half the year. Here, you're paying all year round. There's no free ice. We can't go hit the pond up.
No.
You know, the harbor at Long Beach doesn't freeze over after. You know, so I think that's such a big thing of like, do you see that a lot of parents kind of going into that power state of why it's hard for the kids, and you kind of come in as that perfect kind of medium? Are you trying to help the parents get there, or?
Yeah, I think for me is like most of the time the parents are pretty gun ho about it. Like, hey, if this is going to help my kid perform better, they're all for it, you know. And the buy-in is actually with the athlete, like building the trust with the athlete,
of course,
and showing that I'm on their side, and I care about them as a human being, less about the sport whatsoever. I you know, obviously it's nice if they do well. Of course, man. I want them to do well. I mean, yeah, of course. But for me, I want them to I want to help them build those life skills. Meaning, we talked about this earlier about, you know, things aren't always going to go your way, and that's why sports is such a great analogy of life. How are you going to handle it? I tell them this all the time. It's really easy to have a good attitude when things are well. Everybody can, right? It takes guts and courage to have a good attitude when things aren't going well, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, building that trust. And I have to walk a fine line with the parents because they're actually my client. Right.
Yeah, of course.
They're the ones paying for it, not the athletes. So they're actually my client. So I got to walk a fine line on conversations with them. Obviously, I don't want to lie to them. I want to be honest with them, but also knowing that, you know, that there's a power structure. They're the ones paying for it. So there is a respect that I need to give to them on that. But on the same token, I'm not going to be doing them any favors if I lie to them. So it's just a balance that I've have had to learn throughout this process.
How does it? So is it mostly private? Or schools bringing you in? Is it? Yeah, teams bringing you in, or how does that usually look like?
Yeah, so schools normally bring me in, and different organizations bring me in to do like a workshop. So I have this workshop called Master the Mind Game that I put on, and so the schools will hire me for that, or if they want me to do a talk, because I do a talk about my cerebral palsy and the challenges of that, and not just to athletes, but just the vulnerability of being bullied and teased and what I've learned from all that. So yeah, it just depends on the organization and what they want. But yeah, I can do that. And also I've done stuff for business as well, because I can bring in the business aspect of it. With the business side of things, I have a talk called Living for Mondays. You know, in our society, a lot of times, you know, especially if you're working a 9-to-5 job, so to speak, you know, you're living for Friday, Saturday, and then part of Sunday, because when I say part of Sunday is you have those, I call it the Smonday blues, where you stop thinking about, you know, the time you're having with your friends and family. You start thinking about the stresses that you have on Monday, and it just ruins your Monday evening where you can't sleep. You have the anxiety, and then you wake up Monday morning groggy and in a bad mood, and then you're like, oh man, what am I gonna do Thursday and Friday when and then it's a cycle, and then you wake up one day and go, geez, I'm now in my 40s, man. I blinked my eyes, I was in my 20s, and I think a lot of that has to do with you not really living, your full life. You're only living, a couple days a week, and and the other days you're on autopilot, and you're not really soaking in what life's really about, in my opinion, anyway.
No, I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
To get people, because I've seen myself do it. I worked the, excuse me, I worked the 9 to 5, and definitely having the blues.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a weird thing because a lot of things I've seen that I think need to be preached about more too is doing your own thing, like starting your own business. And it's so, people say that, right? They throw it around to start your own business, but when it's yours, right? You're never really off. Like, you're never really, I mean, you can hire people to do things,
Mm-hmm.
you can have that, but I think something about, even that saying of, if we're not moving, we're dying, right? And we see this thing of people working the 9 to 5, they move so hard, and then Friday, it's like they are so checked out.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone. And there's a beautiful thing to that, right? I mean, especially I have some family in Europe, and most of people live like that. It's here. There's a lot more people that own businesses and kind of work in between jobs more. But going to Europe, going to France in particular, you can feel like those 36 hours are it. Like, after they work those 30 whatever hours, they're done. They're checked out, and they come back. Compared to here, it's a lot different. People are constantly worrying about work. There's a saying in French that's are you living to work or working to live?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about starting your own? I mean, you starting your own.
Mm-hmm.
This is under your own umbrella right now.
Yeah.
Is it something? Is that an aspect too of kind of bringing more joy? Or do you think you can find that in kind of anything?
I think you can find it in anything. I think that running a business is not for everyone. It really isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. You run a business yourself. I mean, there's times where there's a lot of anxiety.
Of course.
Like I have my slow months, I have my busy months, and it's there's something to be said. Like, when you go to a job and you have your tasks that you're supposed to do, you do your task, and then you go home. As far as like what I do is like, well, yeah, I do have my task, but I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should be,
of course,
there's so many more hats I'm wearing. So yeah, I mean, if that's something that lights you up and you want to run a business, do it. But there's people that have great jobs that are 9 to 5 that love what they do. My aspect of saying that is just in our society, like you said, the United States especially, yes, I agree with you. In Europe, a lot of the countries, it seems like they're enjoying life more. They're looking at, like you just said. What did you say? Say that phrase
Work
again?
to live or live to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think they have that balance a lot better than here. It's just as goes back to you defining your own success. I think that, unfortunately, in the United States, I think we have a universal success, and the universal success is, where do you live? What kind of money you make, this and that. And that really is not for everyone. Like I said, people are cool living, a little bit more of a modest life, and they should not be looked down upon it. That's the path they want to live, and they've defined their own success. And I think that would help us as a society, and that also in sports too. Like, I talk to different athletes, and they have different goals with it. Some just want to make their team. Some want to make their high school team. Some want to play college. Some want to go further. But it's all on them and what they want to do, and it's their personal journey. And I don't feel like one's more successful than the other. It's just what they want to have happen in their journey of life.
What do you think when people are right? You start off with these clients. You're going down the path. What do you see stop them in the sand? Like, is it doubt? Is it fear? What do you see them that's really
their mind?
Just their mind.
Their mind. It's that
stop playing games on them.
They're negative, and just realizing, like we talked about in the beginning of the podcast here, is realizing that these are just thoughts. They don't have to be our reality, and And again, we're human beings. We're going to have negative thoughts, and not to judge ourselves for them. I think that's where it stops, man. They get in this quicksand, and they have these thoughts, or they have this bad game, and they think that's their reality now. And rather than that's just one bad game, big deal.
Yeah,
you know what?
good.
It's all good. But to that point though, I never want any of my athletes to bottle up their feelings. Meaning, if they feel angry, they can feel angry. That's fine. I'll relate it to golf because I work with a lot of golfers. Tiger Woods has a 10-step rule. He hits a bad shot. He allows himself 10 steps to be as angry as he wants, and after that, next shot. Yeah. And I think that's something that can be adapted in all sports in different ways. Is yes, you can be angry, but we get it out. And let's we got plenty more game to play, or we got a game tomorrow, or whatever it is. To be able to have the emotions, register the emotions, and go forward with it, and that goes back to that meditation piece.
Yeah. Do you think, because way from someone that's played sports, way easier said than done. I mean, it is so. I've caught myself. I mean, even with injuries too, and that I think those were the biggest ones that kind of hindered me mentally. I had a really bad knee injury. Just was in practice, and I was down, and it never was the same after. And to let go, like when you see yourself, when you've mastered the self. I don't think
you ever. I think that's the thing. I don't think you ever master it. You never master it. You never master it.
Yeah, because I hear people talk about it. And I'm like, oof. Like, even I catch myself now. Sometimes you can just kind of you can literally breathe it in, right? Like a meditation purpose. Breathe in the good, breathe out the bad, right? Which works. But yeah, sometimes it just lingers in there, right? Sometimes it just it's in there. What have you seen to help people? Is it breathing? Is it going to a different, are you going to the, your mama's cookies as a kid? What do you tell people? Like, you tell them to do this. Now, what do you tell them real life? Is it meditating? Do you tell them, hey, take actual 10 steps, and with each step you're letting something go? Or is it different for everybody? Or where do you kind of guide people real world to actually let those emotions to relieve?
Well, it is different for everybody, but like going back to your scenario, right? So if you now could talk to your younger self when you had that injury, what would you tell yourself?
I think that I would tell myself is to just be in the moment, not look at, have the baseline and have the goals, but more like look at them compared to being there, right? Because I think that I would look at myself as with an injury, and I'm like, all right, I'm not making it to the big leagues, or time wasted, money wasted, and I'm kind of now I'm there, right? Compared to being, slow it down. I would tell myself, hey, like I think a big thing is what I've seen myself is senses has helped me a lot, right? You just hear people moving on the ice. You're hearing the coach blow the whistle. You're really just kind of being there. Even if it's yourself, you're a little more quiet that day. So I would tell myself to slow down, not literally slow down my nervous system, because I didn't learn that till way later. I wish that I wish, and when I have kids, I feel like that's so not looked upon now is your nervous system is. You're going a million miles a minute. We're constantly doing it. And you see it a lot in I've done yoga and meditation, and you see the instructor say that needs to be said more of all the outside stuff, right? No, so that could be future thinking, that could be past thinking, and just, right, feel the ground or find a focus point. So I think for me is, maybe tighten up the skates a little bit, slow it down, do the drill over, maybe do it even slower, really kind of feel the edge, feel the puck. Would help me. I think I've realized now that that's helped me a huge amount. So yeah, I would tell myself that.
And I love the thing that you said is being present.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, because when you're present in the situation, you're not thinking about the future. So you don't have anxiety, and you're not thinking about the past. You don't have depression. You're thinking about the now. And the more you can be in the present moment, the better it's going to be for you.
Have you caught yourself in your life living in the past or in the present more?
I live in the yeah, I'm a prisoner of my own mind.
Of course.
I'm in the future, I'm in the past, I'm in the present. I think that you know what I follow a lot of the gurus and stuff like Tony Robbins, for instance. I really enjoy. I actually went to one of his seminars at the Honda Center last October, and I got a lot out of it. But one thing that bothers me about Tony Robbins is when he talks about his past, he talks about, like having a rough upbringing and everything like that. But all of a sudden he gets to a point where he's like this guru, and now like he's this robot where he doesn't get mad or doesn't get angry anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I know he does, and I'm sure he does a little bit, but he plays it down. Like all of a sudden now you're this perfect human being, and I think that to me is false. Like I am flawed, just like I was when I was in high school or in middle school. The only difference for me now is I have more tools in my toolbox to help me when I'm feeling a certain way. But man, I get angry, I get sad. I'm a human being. I do things that I'm not proud of still to this day. I just have, like I said, some more tools in the toolbox to handle it, and I have a little bit more experience to deal with it. But yeah, to kind of going back to what you were talking about, asking me that question, and I kind of turn it around and ask you that question. That's what I do with the athletes. I ask them. They have the answers.
Of course.
I just need to ask the right questions to pull it out of them.
Get it out.
You gave a great answer.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome answer. A lot of people should follow that advice that you just gave.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes should follow that answer. They have that too. I think, like you mentioned that, it's easier said than done. That's true, but don't give yourself that limited belief.
Of course.
If you say that too often, then that becomes your reality.
I think for me more, it's completely. I agree with it. I think it's more. Yes, I like to say that is limiting yourself, but it's also hard because a lot of people are on the limiting yourself thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've limited themselves. My parents with athlete, with them doing sports, I can feel it was limited.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches even, right? They're it's really hard. So yeah, I think that more teams need to have
mm-hmm.
kind of just that, person as yourself of just being that, you're the chameleon and helping them in every way. You're helping them in every angle, right? Because I think people get stuck in a lot of different angles. But yeah, I completely agree. Your mindset is a great thing. To not think of something as being difficult. I guess when I say it's easier said than done, because as a kid I look back and I'm like, wow, like it was.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like there was no. I think for me, you see a lot more kids nowadays. They're way more self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
I think my generation was, I grew up when phones just started, right? When the iPhone just, released. I was in 4th grade or something. And being self-aware now you feel self-aware because a lot of, it's kind of a culture to be self-aware to you're looking at other people and then that makes it look at yourself, which has always been a thing. But I think before it never felt as feasible, right? You see somebody on an Instagram post and you're like, hey, that, you can relate to anybody,
mm-hmm.
right? Compared to back in the day, a lot more people, at least for me, it was athletes, it was movie stars, it was Hollywood, it was the TV that we were watching. So yeah, just being like self-aware, I think that was what I say was it, because I just was not self-aware a lot. I was not being in the present, and I was so on kind of a schedule that was insane and almost limiting in a way of just, feeling that and not having open-mindedness to it.
Yeah, but you were a kid. How would you know any differently?
Of course, 100%.
Yeah. I think it goes back to, I think it goes really, really to parents. I talk to parents a lot about body language, meaning like with when if your athlete does well or poorly, try to stick with the same body language, because they can feel your energy. So if you're not doing well in the sport, they can feel your dad or the mom, getting anxious in the stand. They can feel it. But if you can keep, I know it's easier said, like, again, to what your point, easier said than done, but to make a conscious effort to have the same body language regardless of what is going on in the game. I think, to me, as a parent, for parents, yes, I think that you if you want to get on them, it's effort, right? If they didn't give good effort, you can say, you know what, this is not cool. We drove you 2 hours and you're not going to give an effort. I feel like that's warranted. But if they have a bad game, just because it was a bad game, let it go, and then have ice cream regardless if it's a win or loss. Have ice cream. Do not make it a win and we have ice cream. Have ice cream because we played hard,
of course,
and bring that back to it. Kobe Bryant talks about this, or did talk about this rather, about his dad or his parents. He said that when he was growing up, his parents made it known that regardless of what happens in this game, I love you. And he said that freed him up. To not worry about making mistakes, because my parents are going to love me regardless. And I know all the parents I work with, they love their kids, no question about it. But it's nice to be, even with boys, it's nice to remind them that regardless of what happens, I love you. And they might, in the outside they say, oh, whatever, mom, whatever, but in the inside that means something to them.
Of course, it's going to slowly boil to something better and have that to be a standard, right? Because like you said, right, you're saying, hey, because there is this kind of men mindset of harsher on the boys. It's something that just happens, on the younger kids, and to just remind it to set that baseline. Everything's okay. To kind of switch gears here, is bubblegum the best shaved ice?
I love it.
You think it really is?
Bubblegum and banana are my favorites.
I haven't never had banana.
Blue, though? Why is why? I think the shape every shaved ice I get is blue, and I think it should be pink, right? Because most of my bubblegum that I've eaten was pink, but it's blue. But
they're changing the colors now at some of the.
Was it different? Because when I was a kid, bubblegum was always blue.
they have like, so now I remember the shaved ice. I remember is like the machines that were like thick shaved ice, because now they have like Hawaiian, especially in Long Beach, they have all these different like types of shaved ice. So I don't know what they're doing now anymore.
I love the thin, but I love the shaved ice, because
like the Hawaiian style.
Yeah, because it holds the flavor in the ice. Like if it's crushed, it just gets, it all goes to the bottom, and you're basically drinking.
That's
at the end.
Stuff I remember. I remember they had like this like thick popcorn looking machine at my summer camp that they had all the different syrups, and they would do it. But bubblegum, that I don't know if that's the one. Now I've gone to like, they have like creams now and stuff. I like the root beer creams. Those are good. But yeah, to shift topics, I thought it was funny. I saw one of your posts. You're like, no matter what, bubblegum is it. I was like, I watch all this like inspirational stuff. Look, I respect it. I hear you on it. So what kind of kept you in Long Beach? What was this is just home, or?
Yeah, so growing up, before my parents got divorced, I was living in Orange County, Huntington Beach, and I really enjoyed Orange County, Huntington Beach. I shout out my favorite restaurant to this day, Don Jose's on Magnolia and Adams. The salsa is phenomenal, so I still go there for the salsa. But after I went to high school here,
what is it called? Don
Jose's.
Don Jose's.
Yeah,
is that right on the water?
No, it's inland. It's off of Magnolia and Adams. And matter of fact, in the every Saturday morning they have like an impromptu car show, where it's not, they just bring their car because there's a donut shop there. They have karaoke. If you like karaoke, they have Friday, Saturday night. They have karaoke there, but it's a good spot. I think it's more nostalgia. All my buds that I tell them about it, and I've taken them there. Like, dude, it's okay, but it ain't great. I don't know why this is your favorite spot. So it might be nostalgia more than anything else. But to answer your question, in high school, we'll back up a second. In middle school, I went to a Catholic school, so I had to take an assessment test to see where they were going to place me when I got to high school. And I don't do well on tests where there's no study, where they just check your intellect. I'm a person that has to study, or I don't do well. So I took this test and I didn't do well. And that principal, it's like the old Catholic way. They tell it like it is, right? They said, she said that, I'm not going to college and we're going to put you at the lowest level possible. And it's like, okay. And I had that limited belief in my head throughout high school, kind of had this thought, like, just be eligible to play ball and not, and not worry about anything further, because you're not going to college. So when I graduated, I really thought that, I wasn't going to go to college, but I got this scholarship from the Long Beach Rotary, because I raised by a single mom, didn't have much income, and I gave me a scholarship to be able to go to Long Beach City College. And my mom's like, well, they're giving you this money, you might as well try it, see if you like it. And it really changed my life. I really enjoyed Long Beach City College. I felt like the professors there really wanted to be there. I didn't feel that way in high school. And even though it was a private school, I just felt like, to go back to the 9 to 5, I felt like they were just, most of these teachers just collecting paycheck. Of course. And when I was going to college, I felt like they really care. They really want to be there. And they really made learning for me fun, got myself all these tutors and stuff like that. So in that period of time, I really engrossed myself into Long Beach and thought, you know what, I want to stay in this area now. If opportunity changes, I'm not opposed to leaving, but I mean, I have a podcast called It's a Long Beach Thing, so I really love the city.
Yeah, that's really, how long have you been doing that for?
Probably 2022, 2023, around that time.
I've seen you've had like running councilmen on there. Who are some other people you have, just kind of locals here in the community? Or
yeah, I've had the chief of police. I have people from like higher name people to people that want to be on the podcast and want to talk. And
of course,
I'm cool with that. I have 2 set questions. What's your first association with Long Beach? And then very end, where you like to eat in town? I love that question, because then they come up with some good spots. But in the middle of it, I like to do like you did. I'm very impressed with you doing the research on me. But I want to do research, but I don't want to have set questions, because that's the boringest thing I've ever seen is podcasts go, now we're going to go question 9. And it's like, let's have a conversation and see where it goes.
It's hard because I tell people about the podcast. They're like, so what's the topic? And I'm like, well, I'm starting, so I don't really have a topic. And they're like, okay, well, what questions are you going to ask? 'Cause some of my friends never been on the podcast. It's something about like, in I don't know if you saw it on my YouTube on the top, it says it's not for clickbait, it's for connection. It's we're losing connection nowadays, and
you have a very Joe Rogan vibe.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I try to, because the flow of conversation is the stuff I love listening to, right? Yeah. And I mean, I think about that because they're like, some of my friends when I first started, they're like, okay, you need to have 15 questions ready to go. And I'm like, okay, so now I'm here, and now I'm like looking at like my piece of paper, and I'm like talking to you, and I'm like, no, it's like, get to know somebody. I watch, some of your stuff, listen to some of your things, get a grasp, get an understanding, and yeah, kind of go from there. Flow of state it's so real, because that's how you connect with somebody, right? If I'm just like, Rich, I've been asking questions, but yeah, it brings it helps you connect with somebody more. Exactly. And it's hard, right? Like, me and you, first time meeting here, right? We don't know each other, and even other friends. It's a funny thing now. I've talked to like friends I haven't talked to in years. I'm like, hey, do you want to like talk and like connect again on like the podcast, like kind of meet each other for the second time again? And it's funny to think, to just have like a flow of conversation is so much better than trying to do it. And some people might ride more and harder to connect than others, but yeah, that's the reason to just kind of like connect with people. That, and
with the podcast, what I love about a podcast, especially if I know the person, I've had a relationship with the person. When you do a podcast, you're gonna ask different questions. You're gonna get more in-depth questions. Like I met you for a cup of coffee, we probably wouldn't get this deep in these conversations. Maybe we would, but I would say most of the time we wouldn't. Most of the time it would be more surface level stuff, and then we go on our separate ways. But when you do a podcast, you go a little bit more.
Yeah, of course,
deeper, because there's there's a mission to the podcast.
Of course.
There's a mission here.
Yeah. And I think that for whatever reason, it kind of like takes you out of like the coffee shop environment of, this is like me. I don't know. It's a weird thing. That's what I love too. Like one of the first podcasts I ever did, I felt that immediately I had a girl over here and we were talking and it was very surface level. Mm-hmm. And as soon as the headphones came on, it was like immediately traumas were talked about and aspects and what you thought about society. Yeah, it's really was it like
was it like a date? And then
it was like I like knew her for like a little bit. And we were like hanging out. I think we went on like we got dinner before, but yeah, it was a weird. But that would be cool though.
That's what I was thinking. That'd be interesting cool. If the date was kind of going awkward and like, hey, why don't we do this?
Podcast? I actually started a Tinder account just to like, I'm like, hey, like this is only for podcasts. Yes, like I'm not getting. If you want to come on my podcast as like a first date, like let's do it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see. I haven't had any bites. I just started, but that'd be interesting to just go on like a first date, or if it is awkward, like, hey, come on the pod and kind of see like where it goes.
Or you have a date and then you go, well, what went wrong?
Yeah. Like, let's talk. Let's rate it here for a second. That's funny. It's podcast. It's fun. So when you do it, I've never even seen like I've seen like do it on Zoom. You just like record it through Zoom, or how does that work?
For me, like I'm, you're. It sounds like you have a production background type thing, right?
No.
Oh, you don't. Okay.
I have literally. AI has helped me figure this all out. I have like I loved like movies as a kid, and I definitely like loved. I always mess with the camera, so I guess like a little bit, but all this is new to me. It's all trial and error.
Okay. For me, I'm more about the connection and less about the tech. Everybody's like, oh, you blah 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 blah. But then I've also got people like, man, you make it so much easier because you're not worried about the tech. I'm more about having the conversation, having the connection, and I find it more enriching because I've gone on podcasts and I've seen podcasts where it's overly productive. Where they are taking out the ums and and all this other stuff, and it just it takes away the human spirit, and it just becomes, lack of a better word, boring.
Yeah, I sent it to an editor, and I think sometimes he cuts out some dead air. But I'm interested to see, because I feel like when I'm FaceTime somebody, right? For example, like sometimes I can dive into a conversation with somebody, but sometimes it's that light kind of coffee shop talk. Do you get that on the Zoom? Do you feel, I mean, I've seen you've done a couple in person. Do you think there's a disconnect aspect of the Zoom, or do you think it's just you can kind of bury down through that over the screen, right? Because it's different, right? You're here, we're in the studio. Do you think there is kind of a proto, or do you think you can just kind of dive into it on a Zoom?
I think there's something to be said about having an in-person connection in anywhere, not just a podcast or anything that you do. And that's why I like to meet with my clients first time in person, because it takes it to the next level. But I don't want it to sound cocky or conceited or anything like that. But I have a good energy
to talk to people,
so that maybe they might be nervous that what my goal in my head when I have a guest that might be a little bit shy or tentative, my goal by the end, they're like, man, this is fun.
Yeah.
By the end. And I can't think of a time where I wasn't able to do that. I mean, because if they were like not wanting to go on the podcast at all, then they probably wouldn't have gone on in the first place.
Yeah, of course.
So there's part of them that wants
to go. Yeah.
That wants to take it out. So I think that they want it.
It's exactly like your job. You're helping them just get there.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people I have that come on that, because I have a lot of people that have never done a podcast, and they're worried about the journey, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of the captain here. We'll steer it. We'll get it somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I've cast it out a couple times. Like, I kind of know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of people are like hesitant towards that being aspect. But I've even seen, like, because even with you, when I watch some of like the councilmen you have, like, they kind of start very, very kind of tied up, and as it goes on, it goes a little bit more of them, kind of settling in their seat, which I do love about like long form podcast. It's a lot different than the snippet on a news
ABC
channel,
News,
whatever it might be. Is there any like place that people talk about eating more than others? Is there like one spot that you hear, a food spot in Long Beach that?
Yeah, 555 I get a lot.
That's the burger joint? No,
it's Steakhouse off of Linden in
yes,
downtown.
The Steakhouse.
Boathouse on the Bay is I'm trying to get him on my podcast, John Morris. So if you have a connection, I have a friend.
Boathouse on the Bay. Okay.
Boathouse on the Bay. Yeah. So but he's been in the news. John Morris is the owner of the restaurant, and he's locally famous because he's Legends right on 2nd Street.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That's actually the very first sports bar in the nation. He started it.
Really?
He started it. He doesn't own it anymore. So he's kind of a local legend in our area, and he's been in the news a lot lately because about the Big Bang. July 3rd, every July 3rd, he does a fireworks show right off of Boathouse on the Bay there. That's over by, where Ballast Point is?
No.
Schooner or later. So like Marine Drive, towards like kind of towards Seal Beach area.
Okay.
There's like a back area. There's like a farmer's market back there. Say, where the PCH in 2nd? That shopping center is?
Yes.
Okay, so like right behind there's like a road, and you take that road all the way to an end, and that's where Boathouse on the Bay is.
Okay, that's where the pier is.
No.
Okay, no, I'm thinking the pier down more and
yeah, so that's over by, that's kind of where that Belmont Brewing Company, that's where that is. This is where, that fairly new shopping center.
Yeah, no, I know where the shopping center is.
Yeah, so like right behind
there. Just right behind it, okay.
Yeah, there's a road that takes you right to it. Like it's literally 2 minutes from there. But anyway, so I don't know when he started this tradition, but July 3rd, he does a fireworks show, and families come, and it's a real fun event, and it's brought a lot of money to the community. But the past few years, the Coastal Commission is kind of going against fireworks, especially in Southern California, especially in LA County,
of course.
And they gave him a permit for last year, and it was supposed to be the last one. And he got on the mic, and he said, he goes, "We're not stopping at 249. We're stopping at 250. We cannot have fireworks on the 250th anniversary of America's birthday and everything like that." So he was fighting it to get the permit again this year, and they were really getting really big pushback, and it got all the way up to the governor's office, and the governor actually made a comment about it. I don't know what's come of it, but right now they still don't have it, but. He's been a big pillar of the community, and I would love to have him on my podcast. And one of the things that I going, with council culture that you're referring to is, I come from a generation where like when you talk about politics and stuff like that, like it's always been contentious. I remember. This is crazy. My great aunt, who's long passed away, she was a nun, a Catholic nun, and she would say, and I remember this as a kid, she would always say, like, if we were in mixed company where they come from different backgrounds, and politics or religion would come up, and she's a nun, and she goes, "I don't talk about religion or politics," and I'm thinking to myself, even as a kid, going, "Dude, isn't that your job?" you're a nun.
You?
But I thought about that, and about like, wow, it sounds like it's always been. And she, at that point, she was in her 90s, so that generation, a few generations before, that's always been an issue. But
it was different though.
I agree.
It was, because before there used to be more, liberal conservatives and more conservative liberals, and now it almost feels like people are dividing heavy.
I agree with.
I think it's got. I hear with what you're saying. There's probably always been.
Yeah.
Hey, make sure to kind of watch. Dotting your I's and crossing your T's. But now it almost feels like hatred. Like people can't even come to the same conclusion on it.
I would agree with you on that because when my grandpa he would get pissed and he'd be like, "I'm a Republican now. I'm a Democrat," and I don't think that happens today. And so my point on bringing that up was like I have people on my podcast that are extremely liberal, and I also have people on my podcast that are extremely conservative, and I don't care. Same like here. As long as you're being respectful, I don't really care where you come from. I'm curious with that. I really get curious to see why are you so conservative? Why are you so liberal? I mean, there's always a story. I mean, a lot of times it starts with upbringing.
A huge part.
Or something happened in your life where like, oh man, I'm not dealing with that anymore, and you go that way. And I think that there needs to be, and I think that I think it's worse than it really is because when I talk to people on the streets, like when I'm talking to people like doing this, there's more common ground. But when you're doing it on a social media feed and you're posting something, whether it be left or right or whatever, and you post something, you're going to have these people that are going to be like, oh, hell no. And then you're just going comment to comment, and you're not doing anything but pissing people off because they're not, because when you make somebody mad, even if you do have logical thoughts and good points, they put their heels in their toes, and they're not going to listen to you, regardless if you do it well or not. So I think when it comes to that kind of stuff, I wish there would be a little bit, kind of back to what we're talking about with the coaching, is having a lot more active listening and allowing somebody to say their point on why they feel that way. And a lot of times if you do, you're like, oh, we're not too far off there.
Yeah. Yeah, I especially coming to... Yeah, any type of common ground feels almost hurtful. And I think that I see a lot of people when I have conversations in day to day, common grounds are usually met. And with me at least, I mean, I grew up in a split household. I mean, half of my house had Fox on, the other half had CNN on.
Yeah.
And I was pretty much smack down the middle, a couple more views this way, a couple more that way. But yeah, I think people like, I mean, as humans, right, even in a tribal setting, like drama. And I think that some of the people for this podcast, they're like, all right, one of my friends like, hey, I'm gonna bring on a guest for you. They're in the Army, but you really got to hit them with hard questions, right? Or that that they want you to really kind of dive into it. I think some people just enjoy the drama of life instead of connection. It's getting in their own corners, getting in not even in a fight, but to watch people kind of get out riled up. People enjoy watching that, which is sad to say. But
hard questions. That's, I mean, what do they mean by that?
They wanted me. So he was in, if I'm not mistaken, he's been working with like the Russia and the Ukraine war.
Oh wow! And okay, so he's high up in the rankings.
Yeah,
huh?
he wanted to. I don't know exactly his position, but my friend wanted him to come on, and he's like, you got to blur out his face for like 2 hours, and you got to he wants to say things and talk about different aspects, and I'm like, okay, I'm down to do it, but again, the podcast is to talk to people. I don't really want anyone to come on here for 2 hours and blur out their face. Here it's the one reason why I love podcasts, and you can kind of see it from a politician standpoint. No politician that's bullshitting will sit down for 2 hours, whatever, 2 hours on a podcast. It's hard to bullshit somebody for that long. It's not. You have to be a master manipulator to sit down with somebody. Obviously, anybody can lie about a story and talk about that. But I've even had people come on my podcast that I haven't posted that it's been they're just contradicting themselves the whole time because they're just living not in reality. They're gone. So to answer your question, he just wanted me to kind of really come down with he wanted to just be divided, right? He wanted it to be the social clip to, make him go viral or whatever to sell something or.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, but it's what people are looking at.
Well, to that point is being, I think when you're talking about politicians, and one of the biggest things about politicians is fake, right? That's the biggest thing that we talk about is being phony. And I think that we crave being authentic. That's one thing that I was, the people that I interviewed on the podcast recently, that they're running for mayor. I saw them do a debate. And there's about 6 of them altogether. The Rex Richardson was not there, which I understand his strategy why not being there. He was so far ahead. Anything that he would go would hurt him. So I understand why he wasn't there. But I was so refreshed on how respectful all the candidates were. Now there was candidates, Josh Rodriguez, who's extremely right. And then there was another guy, Lee Golden, I think his name is. Unfortunately, I didn't get him on my podcast, but if he wants to come on, if Lee, you're listening to this, come on, I'll come on your podcast. But he's very liberal. But the thing was, they were all so respectful of each other, and all of them had an energy of, they're getting into the race because they wanted to do good, and that was very refreshing to me. And when you get higher in the level, you get politicians that, like you said, that they're not authentic to you. They don't answer the question. They use this. You ask them a question, they start to answer it, and then they go on their tangent on what they want to talk about. It's just as a consumer, I'm looking at this going, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I think that you're seeing that in our culture, that we're sick of it. We're sick of that politician. That's why, like him or not, Spencer Pratt, right? I don't know much about his story. I know he was a reality star or whatever and this and that, but he's an outsider and he speaks like an outsider. And I think that regardless of what he stands for, I really don't know really what other than him losing his home in the fire, which is awful. Other than that, I really don't. Homeless. That's everybody can be against homeless, but I think that the reason why he did so well in LA is because the fact that he didn't talk like a politician, like some of the other candidates that are running do.
Yeah, you're coming back down like we were talking about before to just being a person, and a big thing too is you even see it with media, right? I remember when social media first came out, like watching YouTube way back in the earlier days, a lot of it was like put on as like, right, the biggest thing back in the day on YouTube was like fake. Everything was faked. There was a huge era of faked pranks, faked picking up girls, faked motivational speakers that would hire people. It was way back in the day, right? It was huge. And nowadays you see the biggest people on the internet put a camera in front of them and talk to somebody, right? The podcasters, the people that have we crave that authenticity because for so long, right, we know that if you put on a facade, you'll get a click or two, and maybe depending on the vibe of the environment, right, when YouTube first started, it was all fake because it was clickbait and getting people on. You still get that now, but the people that actually are making it, building companies, building brands, for the most part, are just being authentic, and they're just staying true to themselves. Yeah, maybe might have some barriers on what they're going to say and not what they're going to say out loud, but just being true to yourself is huge.
I would totally agree with that. I think that's what life's about.
Yeah.
is having that authentic energy. I think that's what I feed off of. When people there's everybody have different personalities, right? If somebody's loud and that's their personality, if I feel like that's their energy, that they're loud and boisterous and this and that, I accept them because I feel like they're living, or her or whatever, they're living their true life, right? Or if they're quiet and that's how they are, that's who they are. It's the people that are loud, but that's not really their personality. That's what I think for me bothers me.
What do you think that like we could do as a society to have those coffee shops be more authentic? Do you think it's a community based? Do you think it's a city thing? Do you think it's like what do you think would help with that?
Empathy. Not judging people.
Yeah.
Having somebody come up and go, oh man, this person's angry. They're a bad person. Rather than saying, man, did they, are they angry because they lost a loved one?
Mm-hmm.
Did something bad happen to them? Did they lose their job? I mean, giving people the benefit of the doubt, or I think a lot of times we're quick to go, oh, this person, just write this person off. But there could be and most of the time there is. There's a story to why they feel the way they do, and I think that I think sometimes we're too quick to put people in a box, and if we allowed space to be empathetic, and actively listen to them. You've always, you're doing podcasts and everything like that. So the art of conversation, you're well aware of it, but you've been in conversations in your life where, that person's not listening to you. They're just being polite enough to not talk. And so that they can get that thought out so they can say what they want. And then it's just a ping pong game.
Yeah.
As opposed to actually taking in what they're saying and listening to them.
I mean, that's why it's called Boxing with Bryce. I mean, that's the main thing. It's because I think, right, if I'm like, hey, Paul, I got a chick that I know you would like, right? It's like you'll probably explain that person in one sentence, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're so quick to just judge somebody, and that's the deeper meaning. I mean, you see the boxes everywhere, and people are like, oh, okay, it's like B, Bright, Bryce, box. No, but it's we box people in so quick. Mm-hmm. We're so fast to hey, that person is their career, mm-hmm. or that person's an asshole,
yeah,
or that person is politically this way, yeah. And to take it as just being a person. I think you see that in a lot of smaller towns, right? I've had a couple of my more like liberal friends go up with me to smaller towns that are very conservative, and you see it in those community aspects. They're more open to people. Like, you would think they're gonna fight at a bar, but again, it's like, hey, we're all sharing a beer here. We're all just empathy. I really like that. Yeah, just we're all human, and mm-hmm. That's really key. Do you ever come in as an advisor to coaches, like to athletic coaches?
Not so much. I hate to say of it and I hate to say it like this, but a little bit of an ego thing there.
Of course.
With the coaches.
Of course. I mean, that would make sense.
Where, I don't need that, I'm good. Uh-huh. And so and again, that's still a little bit of limited belief on my part, because I'm sure
you're saying the coaches are more like that, or you're being like that towards the coaches.
No, they don't need it.
Okay.
I would love to do it. I would be absolutely up for it. I haven't been able to really break in on that, and that could be just a limited belief on my, and it is a little bit of a limited belief on me. I'm putting everybody in a box, and I don't need to do that. But what I've seen from coaches, especially experienced coaches, they're like, well, yeah, I've been there, done that. I know the thing. But that being said, I'm sure there's plenty of coaches that would. I have not put the answer to your question. I have not put the energy into really doing that.
When you coach and you're really with
real quick, what time is it?
Let me double check here. 12:40.
Okay, want to make sure, because
you're good.
My street sweeper.
Oh, what time is it at?
1:30 on that 1:30.
Side. 1:30. Okay, no, we'll cut it before. Do you see the big differences with athletes in a team environment and in an individualized sport like golf, right? I mean, I guess golf has golf teams, right? But what do you see the big differences that, I guess, I mean, again, I know every person's different. Everybody's doing their own thing. But what do you see? Do you see people in team sports feeling more, with the team? Like what's the big difference in coaching those two environments?
Well, I would say that the athletes that gravitate towards me are the individual sports,
really,
as opposed to the team. I do team sports. I actually got a kid right now in basketball, but I think the reason why is in a team sport, you could have a bad game and still win. Whereas if you're in wrestling or you're in track and field or you golf or what have you, if you have a bad game, you lose.
Yeah.
And I think as a result of that, you're more on an island. And I think more people in that situation need a little bit more of like I need to get these thoughts out. Not to say that you don't feel that way in baseball, hockey, or whatever. You do, but I just noticed that in working with the people that the sports that have been gravitated towards me are the sports that are more individualized.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you started off with a baseball player, or
I started off with a golf
player.
Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of golf. I love golf. And golf is so mental. I mean, all sports are, but like you have a great hole, right?
Yeah.
And then you think you're doing great, and then you could have a tee shot that just goes in the water. Like what
Of
the
course.
heck? So it's such a sport where you really got to stay in the zone. I talk a lot about the conscious mind with the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the mind that makes the decisions, right? That I need to pay my bills. That's the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is doing hockey all your life and doing the practice all your life. It's ingrained now. So that's the part of the brain that needs to take over when you're in a game, is that part of it. You've done the practice. You've done all the thinking. You've done all the work, right? And the game is time to shut that conscious brain off and let the subconscious mind take over. And if you let the subconscious mind take over, great things will happen because you're in that what's called that flow state.
That's what I'm about to say.
And
in the flow.
You could make a winning goal. And I could interview after and you go, what were you thinking? You go, I don't know. I blacked out. You actually did, because your subconscious mind was doing it, not your conscious mind.
Yeah. That flow state is, I mean, if you could teach that to any kid, that's probably when you ask me, hey, what do I tell myself? Just being in that flow, being in that, you're not right in the present, not thinking about all the other distractions or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
For it. So kind of go back to the curriculum because it does interest me. So you do the in-person, you do the 2 times a week, 3 months, and then
2 times a month.
2 times a month. Sorry.
Yeah. But I set 2 calls up.
Okay.
Personally, but they, as the athlete, can, within reason, they can set something up more often
if they want to talk to you.
If they want to talk to me, and then it wouldn't be an hour session. It would be most of the time on that. Like they just want to kind of go over their game plan for the game, the next day's game or something like that. And I find that the ones that utilize me the most get the most results out of it. I mean, like I told you before, the parents are the ones gung ho, and it's up to me to build the trust with the kids, and that takes time.
Of course,
they're like, "Who's this guy? Why am I going to talk to him?" And I really have to show my heart to them and get it off of the sport itself and get it more onto them as a human being.
Yeah, breaking that ice to not have the coffee shop mindset, to have something of true connection.
The connection is the key. So like I have two kids I work with that are golfers that are way into weightlifting. So you know what I do before a session with them? I'm going through YouTube and I'm going through some of the stuff that they listen to, and I go, "Hey, interesting. What Jesse James? He had this conversation with Tom Brady. Did you see it?" And allowing that space where we can connect, and because I find that when we connect that way, they're more apt to talk about other things.
Yeah, you're breaking those walls down.
Yeah,
you're somebody that's there being because I think a lot of mentors, right, that come in and be, if it's a parent or if it's a coach, it's so disconnected. I mean, it's so, that's why I was saying you working with coaches, because I think if coaches individualize players, because you see a lot of the time in team sports, right, what I've seen is it's almost like hurdling cows. It's just like, hey, we all need to get in the pen here, which is a good aspect of it. But I think the more you can individualize and know obviously knowing people's names, but know their names, know what they like, know what keeps them going, a nickname even, because most of the time in team sports, it's sad to say, I don't know if it's the mass amount of people on the team or not, coaches usually click up to a couple kids. That's it. Everybody else is kind of on with the wind with it, you know? So I think that if there's an aspect of talking to coaches and, obviously depending on your coaching style and who you are as a person and whatever, but to kind of individualize it and connect with the kids more, whatever athlete, building that community stronger and stronger would, I think, help team sports at a great strength. Because now, I've played for 3 or 4 clubs for hockey. I did light baseball, nothing too crazy, but even in those aspects, especially in baseball, because I saw in baseball it was a lot of like the dad was the coach of like the kids, especially in little league, t-ball, and it was just kind of hook on to 1 or 2 of the kids, and everybody else is kind of running around them, which is, it's sad to say, but I think as a team to get that, we're all kind of one here. That would be something I think would be really cool in kind of your field.
Yeah, I think with coaches, I would say that for them, one of the things that would help them is them studying psychology. Would be huge, because you're right. One size does not fit all when you're talking with these kids. They have different motivations, and if you could pick up on those cues, it would be very, very helpful. Like there's kids where you need to talk to them more directly. You need yell at them a little bit, not be disrespectful to them, but yell the at
Army
them.
drill instructor.
Yeah, they need that. The kids. There's kids that respond better to that. Other kids that may be a little bit a little more sensitive, that they respond better if you did it this way, right? But if you were to the kid that responds better for like yelling, if you were like a little too that kid's gonna be like, what is this coach doing? This coach doesn't know what he's talking about. So it's really getting to know them as human beings and picking up cues, and nothing's perfect, but having that EQ would really serve these coaches well, and knowing how to motivate them, individualize. You have your team motivation, obviously, but then you offer your individual motivation, and to your point, every coach, there is favoritism, especially if they're a better player.
Of course,
you have that, and you're never going to get rid of that. That's just human nature. But I think that back to the awareness piece, I think if the coach is a little bit more aware of that, that would help. That would serve the team better too.
Did you study psychology?
I did.
Okay.
I did, but I would say that most of the stuff that I've learned is through having cerebral palsy and dealing with. I think that the reason why I feel like I can read people pretty well is because I was so in middle school. I so wanted to have friendships so well. So I'd become a chameleon. Like I would okay, this person like this. So let me read up on this and ask him questions about this, and then maybe I can have a conversation. Maybe you will like me as a person. I was really diving into that. And I think that has really served me well with the coaching, like mentioning about the weightlifting, about these guys really like weightlifting. So let me get into weightlifting so I can have a conversation with them about it. Like really, I'm a curious person by nature. So like I can get in, whatever the topic is, I can get into it in a certain way and be able to talk to them about it. And I talk to them enough where they're like, okay, cool. Like I think for me, I think that the athletes feel, a little flattered that like I'm taking that extra time
to know
to know what their interests are and asking them questions about their interests, because they're the expert in that, right? And I treat them as the expert in that. Like I have one kid that's like I said, he's part of that weightlifting, and I ask him about diet, and I'm truly interested in what his opinion is on that diet, and I'm doing it for 2 reasons. One is I'm curious about it, but 2 is I want to lift him up. Yeah. I want him to feel like he's the expert, because he is the expert of that situation.
Yeah, I think that's almost like looked down upon in a weird way in like society. Maybe I'm looking at the glass half empty, but I remember as growing up, right, making friends is harder than when you're in high school in an environment. I remember I met this one guy here, and some of my friends have played like card games like Magic or Pokemon or whatever. here and there. I never really was into it, but I met this guy. We were talking. He was cool. And I was like, we could be friends. Like we could like hang out. And as you get older, it gets sometimes more difficult.
Or it gets weird. Like
it gets weird almost, right? And I think that, you know, he told me that his friends, or he invested into like a small like card shop over in Orange County. I was like, fuck it, let's go. Like, let's go. I bought a little pack. We like played a game, and I was like, yeah, like I didn't need to buy the pack, right? But I was interested. Like, hey, what is this?
Yeah,
this guy's pretty cool. Like, you know, we can connect on this. Go there. Won my first Magic game as we played there, and yeah, it's almost like people. Again, I think it's we've created these small tribes, and sometimes we like judge people on it. But yeah, to be like curious and to same here. I mean, I'm somebody, they called me the question boy, you know, and like in middle school, and just even if it was reiterating a question or trying to understand it in a different way or a topic or whatever, just to be curious about it. And that builds connection like no other, right? Some of my friends nowadays can't, like, it's so hard for them to like talk to chicks out, right? They're so locked into Instagram or, you know, Tinder, they're going to find their love on there. And, you know, they see me talk to chicks here and there, and
but eventually you have to talk to them.
You do, of course. But I think it's, again, I think a lot of people are scared about that first step. Yeah, it's that first wall. It's the biggest thing in relationships. I think I see a lot of people is, am I going to be judged? Can I just be judged on the internet? Can somebody just judge me on my Tinder profile? If they don't like me, then they like me. If they do, they don't. And I always say, I mean, just find some type of common ground, like whatever it might be. Like if it's a conversation, if you have to do it, but
it's funny is I feel more comfortable outside the Tinder realm because I feel like I have better advantage in person than I do on. I'm oh man, I'm a quick swipe. What is it? Swipe left? What is it? I forget now.
Swipe left is no.
Okay, yeah, I feel like I will be a quick swipe left, but if I was able to meet you in person, I'll be able to have a little bit more time. Well, maybe this guy is kind of cool. You know, whatever.
Yeah, same. No, I feel the same exact. I mean, I've never really done like besides this thing and tried it once or twice, but I've realized, and you also, I think a big thing too is one thing that we haven't talked. We kind of dived into it, but is like it's almost like how people talk to chicks nowadays. Is like the numbers that they're doing. It's like, I know some guys only talk to a couple chicks a year. And it's like, if you do that, like those falls are going to fall way harder, right? If you're knocking doors and you knock 2 doors a day for a year and half of those doors fall, I mean, yes, you can build that mental strength to be like, hey, I can keep going. But if you knock, my first day I knocked 30 doors, right? Because the person told me, they're like, hey, there's always another door. And I think that's one thing that we build is like just putting yourselves in those moments. And I bet you
the door that you knocked on 29 as opposed to 2
way different.
Yeah.
Way. I mean, I think it was even 5-6 doors down in. I mean, I was in the middle of Texas. People were inviting me in, you know, having food, you know, they were having me fix other technology, you know, their other stuff with tech. And I mean, the amount of phone ringers I turned on and off. I mean, you know, you're doing all the smaller stuff, but again, it's just you're breaking down that wall. And I think we're building it up so high. I mean, some of my friends nowadays, it's I feel bad. It's rough to do it because they're looking at this thing of like, it's kind of like in sports of like, this team is from Canada. Like, I mean, that's what we used to look at it, right? As hockey guys, we were like, these guys are they're living in higher elevation, right? And it's, I mean, I think numbers in anything that you do, right? The golf swing 100 times, the door 1,000,000 times. I think that we have to put yourself in those positions more to do it as much as you can. Being uncomfortable. But
to your point about you know, to guys and asking girl or talking to girls in public and everything like that. I've talked to many women about this, and regardless if the woman rejects them, so to speak, most of the girls are least flattered that this person, because they understand, they know that's not easy to do. They get it. They're not stupid. They know it's not easy to go up to a girl and
talk to them,
start talking to them. So they know that. So I think there's appreciation to it, and there might and in a way you might get that girl's number because you did that. Yeah. She might have not thought you were her type as far as looks wise, attraction, but the fact that you went you went over there and talked to her, she may give you a shot and give you her number. Who knows? Because women, big time, women are attracted to confidence.
Of course, I mean that's huge.
And so, if you can be confident, even if maybe you might not be their quote unquote type as far as looks wise, that could supersede that.
I think most women, maybe unpopular opinion, don't have. I think judging looks is a lot less than judging personality. I think people come in, they want confidence. Mm-hmm. Woman wants a guy that can, make them laugh, maybe, break the ice, not as a corporate vibe or whatever to do it. Just, someone that can, again, it goes down to just having a connection with somebody.
Yeah.
And you'll get that shot to try. But it's sad. A lot of people nowadays don't, they build that wall to be so high up that they can't even think about it.
Yeah. And the reality, the reality is I would play that forward, and if I was in that I don't know if you saw the show. It was on VH1. It was called Pickup Artist Mystery. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay, but it was teaching these. You talked about these. It was probably a fake reality show.
Yeah.
He was teaching these guys that like you were talking about, that have trouble talking to women, and teaching them the strategies and stuff. And it was a lot about confidence and everything like that. And I think that yes, there is attraction. There has to be some sort of attraction, but even on the men's side, because I used to think that like men, you were like, oh, more about looks than women, this and that, and I don't know if that's necessarily so true, because like when I talk to guys on these apps, they're swiping right most of the time, just to get that connection, right? And a lot of times it's the girls that are a lot more picky on it. So I don't even think.
I think that's more like real life, though.
Yeah,
I think dating apps is one side. I think in real life, right? Women are almost desensitized to getting hit on. I think they are flattered.
Yeah,
but I think most women that I've talked to, I mean, they're getting hit on. They're getting hit on quite a bit, right? And they're
even though you said that a lot of these men don't even do it.
I think it's an age thing, right? Depends like the age. I think the younger generation's not as doing it as much.
Okay.
And if they are doing it, it's like a little maybe, because again, they're not putting maybe numbers in.
A little bit more awkward.
Yeah, maybe more awkward. But I just think as a society, right? And I mean, especially living in LA, right? Because this is an American thing. I think people in other countries have not maybe dived into the social media aspect. It may be still a thing. I don't know. But when I'm in Europe, I see younger guys talking to chicks way more. But I don't know. I think that even, yes, they're not getting hit on by the younger generation, but still people are hitting on them, right? Because we're going through that shift of social media and technology.
And it's also the matter of how you hit on them.
Of course.
If you hit on them like a sleazeball, then you're going to get, maybe 1 out of 15 might think that's flattering, but
of course,
if you do it in a certain way, if you do it in a respectful way, I think most women are going to be like, maybe I'm not into you, but thank you for, having the balls to come over here and start a conversation with me.
I think why most guys are failing, they're looking at it as the biggest game of their life, that they're going into the Olympics. Because I see my friends, we'll hang out, right? And sometimes when it's like some chicks, like, they'll talk fine, it's good. But like, a beautiful girl comes into the conversation, right? And it's just like, it goes zero. Like they're not comfortable. They thinking that, this is their partner for life or whatever it might be. They're very attractive or, whatever. But yeah, looking at it as, it's weird. Because on social media, you're right. Like on Tinder, girls are way more picky, right? To swipe or judge, they're looking at your birth sign probably sometimes and whatever, not all the time, but sometimes. And on Tinder now I've seen they have, right, I mean, your interest, your high school, your college, I mean, they got it all. So people can judge on whatever, right? We're quick to judge. But yeah, it's interesting where it's going. Where do you think the shift went with, like, because you're talking about like when you were younger, like just like communities and like going out, like what have you seen kind of shift from now to nowadays going out from when you were younger?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm not going to clubs and bars like I once did. So that's kind of be hard for me to answer that question.
But just in coffee, any vibe, just in the world.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, like for me, as far as like the dating apps, I got off the dating apps because I felt like it was a game more than it was. I was trying to find something. I'm like, I'm just looking at pictures. This is just wasting my time. So I stopped getting off because it was a waste of time as far as that's concerned. Probably went on like 4 or 5 dates out of it. And so I don't know. I mean, not to say it doesn't work. It definitely does. And it's hard, I think, especially when you're, regardless of the generation, as you get older, you have more responsibilities. You don't have time to go to these social places as much because you have responsibilities. Of course, and it's harder to meet people. So there's dating apps is a wonderful thing for that. I would say that as far as the difference in way we interact is. We use the phone almost like a crutch. Like it's more a vulnerable position where we look down on our phone and a lot of time we're doing it because it's an awkward situation. So it's just easier just to look at your phone. But I would say that these people are looking at a phone and like they have this look on their face like it's this real important thing. But then you walk over it, they're looking at Instagram or Facebook or dating app, or it's nothing important.
Of course, yeah.
So I think that a lot of times we use the phone as like a crutch, especially in an awkward situation. And I think that's part of it. Going back to what I talked about in the beginning of our conversation here is we have a hard time sitting with it. We're in a society where we want things fast, and when you're talking about human emotions and stuff like that, sometimes you can't change your emotion that quickly, but we want it to change, and just because how our society is with the phone.
When did you first start like meditating? Like walk me through, like, do you remember your first meditation?
I don't remember my first meditation, but I remember starting to really enjoy it. And it was probably when I started getting into the coaching in 2019, that era is when I started to really dive into it, because for me, again, back to what we talked about, being authentic. I want to be, I want to be authentic. So, when somebody asks me, like, hey, do you have a coach? Yes, I have a coach for myself. And I think that's important that I have a coach for myself, because how do I think that this is important to you? It should be important to you if it's not important to me. I have a coach for myself for what I need. And I think it's important that I have that. And so having that journey of having a coach and really diving into my emotions before I got into this work, me talking about cerebral palsy, I wanted to bury that story because really? All through my life, all I wanted to do was fit in. I wanted to make friendships. I didn't want to talk about it. So just talking about it, I would almost be in tears. And now I can talk about it with no emotion whatsoever, because I've dived into my emotions. I've dived into the stuff that was really buried into my childhood, and a lot of it had to do with not having friends in middle school, and soaking that in, and meditation really helped me get through that. I think that if somebody wanted to get into meditation, what I would tell them is, maybe do 5 minutes and go on YouTube and go just do an app of a meditation and just have somebody guide you through it. And then once you start doing it more and more, sometimes I need an app, and sometimes I do it by just by doing breathing and just allowing my mind to circulate, and I do both, and I think both of them are very, very healthy for me. But I understand it's tough if you've never done it before, and you're always, especially if you're always into noise and everything like that, it's very, very hard to shut it down. Yeah. So I always say to start easy. Maybe just, do it a minute. Maybe take a walk and don't take your phone.
Yeah.
Do something simple.
when you were a kid growing up, because I knew somebody that was in my middle school that had it as well. Did you have to work? Because I know, like, for him now, it's like easier to walk and stuff. Is it just, was it when you were younger, was it more difficult to walk? Surgeries or kind of walking down that path a little bit?
Yeah, so I had surgery on my right foot when I was about 6 or 7 years old, tighten up the tendon to give me a little bit more spring in my step. So before that, I was put into soccer, and I probably could run about 25 to 50 yards before my leg would pretty much give out.
Tell me exactly, what does it do to the muscles? What is it? Is it a muscle thing?
So basically, a lot of times cerebral palsy is caused at birth, and it's lack of oxygen to the brain at birth, and as a result, it causes atrophy. It affects one side of the body, and it's for life. You have it for until you die. And there's different severities to it. Thank goodness for me, the severity was less than a lot of other people, because there's people with cerebral palsy that are in wheelchairs and also have vocal issues. And that really makes me sad about the vocal issues, because as far as my mind's concerned, I think like everybody else, but if I had a speech impediment, people start to slow down and talk to you differently, and like you don't have to talk to that person differently.
Yeah.
So with cerebral palsy, you can talk to them normally. They can get the information in just fine. It's just getting it out. It's just
they're
a little
talking
bit harder.
to someone like that's foreign. They're talking a little louder.
And stuff. So that's sad. That's sad for me. But yeah, it's something that you have for life, and it's something that you have to be conscious of, especially as I get older. Weightlifting and exercising and stretching are extremely part of my life. Eating, as I've gotten older, I'm starting to eat better. I don't drink as much I once did. Like we talked about earlier, I have anxiety when I drink now a lot. But I mean, not to say that I don't drink at all. I think, part of my favorite things to do is somebody saying, especially if I haven't seen somebody in a while, like, let's get a beer, and I think, I guess I have no problem with doing it.
Yep.
I just, now I don't do shots or,
for sure, of course,
kinds of stuff. And yeah.
So the surgery, walk me through that. It was to tighten up. You said it was in your
so
ankle?
my foot, yes, to tighten the tendon up.
Okay.
The tendon was a little too loose, and as a result, wouldn't give me enough spring in my step to carry me long term. So they tightened the tendon up so that I'd be able to step with and be able to, where it wouldn't give. Fun story about that, because it was to me it was a miraculous surgery. It was miraculous because I remember kindergarten, going to a different school in first grade, and we were doing our stretches, and the PE teacher goes, "Okay, guys, run a lap." And I'm thinking to myself, here we go again. I'm going to run 50 yards, and my leg's going to give out, and because of the surgery was different.
Wow.
I went past that 50-yard part, and I'm like, man, I'm still sticking with these kids. I'm saying, come on, Paul, you got this. And I finished the lap with the other kids. And I was like, on the outside, I kept it cool. But on the inside, I was like, yes, the first time in my life where I fit in. So that surgery was a game changer for me. It just changed my life.
Was it, explain giving out, was it like numb? Was it not?
It's hard because, again, this is now, I'm 45 years old, and this wasn't, I haven't had this problem since I was 6. So it's kind of hard for me to really explain. But yeah, like I just couldn't keep, I couldn't keep up.
Wow.
My leg just wouldn't allow me to run long distances, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend, his name's Luca, a great guy. I remember growing up. Yeah. There was, people would judge, it's sad to say, but yeah, he, I don't know, as far as he had a speech impediment, but not too bad. Like not, like a little bit of like saliva came out of his mouth, but people would quick to judge what he was doing. I remember, I was like, hey, like that, like me and him were cool. I was not the guy talking loud to him. I was not the guy, just as a kid, not judging. We also too, at the time, this is when schools were, it shifted now a lot from, people that have like learning disabilities and different, things. They'd go to like special classes. So we went to a public school together, and we were in like the class together because they'd just kind of group everybody instead of, hey, maybe helping, being that coach and helping everybody. It was just, let me throw y'all in a room together during English or whatever, and you guys are gonna read a different book. I don't know.
Yeah.
Besides the point, yeah, it was he was a really great guy, and I remember people are just, society just quick to judge and quick to do it.
Well, I don't want to blame people for talking slower to the person or anything like that. I don't think they're doing it to be mean. I think they feel like that's what they need to do.
Oh yeah, no, it's I think some people do it. Yeah. I had a girlfriend that lived in a small city, and I don't think she met a lot of people that weren't from here. And I remember the first couple times, people that just had an accent. Mm-hmm. It's just an accent, like from Canada or from France. One of my friends came, and it was a lot slower. And yes, we're gonna go. It's just a lot. Yeah, I don't think the maybe it's not it's ill, but it happens, right? People are just judging, judging quick. Well, I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, this was really good.
Great.
It was really
time
fun.
Flew by. I appreciate it.
It was quick.
Yeah,
it was quick. Thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Thanks for watching.